Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we have a very special guest, Mr. Tyler Talks of the Tyler Talks YouTube channel. Welcome, welcome.
Hello, hello. Thanks for having me.
Today we're going to be building a deck together, and this video, I should say, is meant to just pick the mind of Tyler and see how he builds decks and how he takes an idea from just an idea to maybe a first rough draft. So that's what we're going to try to do here for you live on, not live, but recorded from Baboony Tim and Tyler Talk.
And you gave us a fun challenge this time.
Yeah.
Threw out a couple different ones and said the overall concept. So you want to tell them about the concept, and then
Yeah.
we'll just kind of dive into it.
So my brother and I have been talking. He and I are going to go to the regionals in Oregon, and maybe you'll be there. But he's thinking about a deck he wants to build. He was thinking like King of Judah, and he's like, okay, maybe I want to try as like a soul hide strategy, but exchanging and then shuffling away the lost souls. And that's like a strategy that I've heard that you've wanted to build on your channel, but I don't think anyone's actually done it before. So maybe we can try something with that.
Yeah, that one will be. We talked about that'll be a little difficult, but also fun with the soul exchanging. Um, like Jay's had great success last year with soul hiding, and
Mm-hmm.
people say now that soul hiding is done because of the lost souls, lost soul.
Yeah.
I still think it's fine. You have plenty of ways to underdeck and get rid of meek souls. The key aspect is you need to exchange just a couple of theirs. So
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be a little bit more difficult to exchange and make it to where the opponent cannot win because of the sheer amount of soul gen.
Yeah.
So we would have to focus on getting rid of souls in our territory, and the exchange is just as we can. So
Right.
let's see. Yep, Wanderer for sure.
Get that wanderer in there. That's where we start. So maybe I should focus on keywords that just say exchange. Are there any coming to mind for you?
Well, if we covet, like if we play covet, then we can go to their deck, give
Right.
them our covet, and take their soul, and then we would just have to exchange their soul to them. Now the rest, I've played this before, where you could play Meeks because
Just
you
like
want to
Miko's
do.
souls.
Yeah, so there's a couple different routes, and then this is just a matter of the brainstorming and how do we want to go about it. So the whole how do we exchange lost souls? That's kind of the first thing. So the
Right.
very first card and the one of the only card. So what I like to do is I'll do special ability, exchange, and I'll go to the other special ability and I'll put in lost soul, and I'm
Oh.
showing 17 cards for that.
So yeah, for the viewers, you can't really see what I'm doing, but there on Lackey, there's actually two different filters where you can do special abilities. So this allows you to do like a powerful, better query than just searching for one word. So I'm gonna do one of them, I'll set to soul, and the other one to exchange, and we can look at all this. Um, this guy's promising. Exchanging two lost souls. That's great.
Hmm.
I'll just put him there on the ideas. We'll see if there's anything else.
Yep.
High Places says you can, if you're evil
Uh-huh.
king or priest, prophet or priest block, you can exchange two lost souls. That's gonna be pretty interesting. There's Centurion at Jerusalem, but how desperate are we?
Yeah, I know.
We'll put it on the maybe.
We'll put it up there for now.
Okay, there's really not that many options here that we're
And then
seeing. They're
Assyrian
all over the
Forces.
place.
Yep. And then that's it. To my knowledge, that's the cards. Covet, Wander, and then a fortress and 3 characters. We don't want 3 characters. Um, Maybe we go pale green and crimson, and we can do something with that. But we
Right.
kind of this is where you have to where you have to kind of factor in, or maybe hone in on where do you want to go with the defense.
Yeah, now that we've identified these powerful individual cards, or not maybe powerful, but like synergistic ones, we got to think about what are the supporting cards around these colors specifically.
Yep. So if we look at high places, that requires, um, it doesn't require lost souls to do the exchange, which is nice, but it does require an evil king, a prophet, or a priest. So, which is not our 3 characters, which that's okay because
Oh
our
man,
characters already exchange.
right. It'd be kind of redundant if they already did that.
Oh,
So
I would love
I
that.
know Gray has some evil priests and prophets.
Yep. So we can look into what do we want? Do we want, and maybe we don't know yet, but we could have evil kings, we could have prophets or priests.
Yeah.
Now, if there's I personally like exchanging 2 Lost Souls, not just the 1, but Centurion's nice just because that means you get, um, Gray, which is very strong right now, but we would have to have some prophets. Some evil prophets are in Gray, so we can do that.
I have a
Um,
quick question. When it says exchange 2 lost souls, does it mean take 1 lost soul and put it in your opponent's territory? Or does it mean
yeah,
like shuffle 2 over?
literally means if I'm playing against you and I have high places down and I block with an evil king, a prophet, or a priest, I can exchange 2 of my Lost Souls with 2 of yours.
Oh, okay.
So what we want to do is the whole point is using one of these cards or 2 if it
Right.
works out with Nebuchadnezzar or Assyrian Forces, maybe Centurion, in high places is you want to use the exchange 2
Hmm.
and then either use a Death of Unrighteous, a Burial, an Israel's Rebellion, whatever it may be.
Oh, wow. I really love Death and Righteous. It's been a while since I've been able to play this card. And it's pale green
Mhm.
too, so it could work.
Yep.
And there's Assyrian kings that maybe are playable.
Yeah, Assyrians are actually not bad. Um, they just kind of got moved to the wayside because so much other good stuff came out. Um, but they have some of the best enhancements. Um, they have some strong characters, but it just seems like they don't overall have enough. But people right now are wanting. I mean, we just joked about. I mean, I saw your comment on YouTube. We joke about wanting overtaken CBN protection. So. I don't think Assyrians are bad. But yeah, they don't have as many weapons. But what we really want is we want the interrupt draw 3 play the next into a DLU. That or we want to
Yeah.
play Israel's Rebellion. We might not need Meek Lost Souls. We might not need Burial. We don't really know yet.
Okay, we're just putting it up there. I know there's some also like Sabbath breakers are some really great wilderness humans that might go well with rebellion here. They're
Yep.
also gray, but there's also Sabbath breakers that are like gray and pale green or gray and crimson. So we could consider those like a little splash for this.
Yeah.
I'll just put them on there while I'm typing. Maybe you can suggest anything else.
Yeah, the other I'm trying to think um what other cards like Suicidal Swine Stampede is orange.
Yeah,
And that is a shuffle all Lost Souls in territory.
perfect. It's that could be played off of a orange gray Sabbath breaker potentially.
Yep.
And this guy's just like a good block in general too, so I really like him. Maybe we can start looking at some evil kings and see if anything comes up in these 3 brigades.
Yeah. What are you looking at? Pale green?
I'm gonna look at some pale green kings here. Okay, this guy can get out of high places. Unfortunately, the way he blocks is not gonna trigger the high places that we get out from this guy.
No. We also like cards like Taberah and Sheol. If opponent plays a dominant, you may shuffle a Lost Soul. If they
Ooh,
search, you may underdeck a Lost Soul. So we could also. So if I exchange Lost Souls with you as my opponent, if I underdeck a Lost Soul that I control but I'm not the owner, it goes back to the owner's deck. So that's why we're trying to shuffle Lost Souls in our land of bondage or our territory
right,
because they go back to your deck. So if I can exchange, they go back to yours, and then I don't have any. So we can
beautiful.
play Taberah, Sheol, um, DOU, Swine Stampede.
Okay, so the King Sargon could be really good for that fortress plan.
Hmm.
Um, got some Egyptians here. Oh, a crimson and pale green. Search deck for an OT fortress. Put it in play. Whoa. Hey, yo.
Yep. So and it's easy to get because you have Amalekite slave, and you have, is it Sargon, that can just grab an Assyrian in exchange himself with the Assyrian.
Let's
Yeah,
see. Kings.
Sennacherib.
This is the guy who exchanges with Assyrian.
Yeah.
Okay, he could turbo out that. Yeah, let me put the Amalekite slave in here. That sounds good.
Now, ideally, Amalekite slave to me doesn't count, but ideally, oh yeah, I mean that one's pale green and works exactly for us anyway. We want to
Eh,
keep brigade to 1 for Sheol.
right, right. We can't really
As
put
of now, we're all
Sheol.
over the place.
Yeah, okay. But Shield's so powerful, it might be worth it to try and stick to one thing, but we'll see.
Yeah, if there's kings and your evil king blocks and you can exchange and you have Sheol and Taberah and DOU, I mean that's good. It's just a matter of do we lose? Because right now burial is not going to work for us that well,
Mm,
which is okay. We can take out the meeks, and that gives us more consistency.
Right.
And then if we're gonna run meeks, then I run evil evil priests, and I run the Sadducees, the high priests, and
Yeah.
that's what I run with high places. But it can be kind of difficult to get high places out with them. Um, and then they can underdeck meek lost souls, and they have burial, and they have just a hireling. But we can go a different route with pale green. Um, and play with the Syrians and have lost soul consistency and have DOU and block with kings in exchange and have Sheol and Taberah. I think that's fine.
So with like the Sadducee plan, they're good at underdecking meek lost souls, but we're trying to exchange our meek lost souls to their territory. That would kind of be not ideal.
We're just trying to exchange lost souls.
Okay.
We don't need meeks. Meeks are we get to draw one off high places,
Yeah.
or we can just do consistency. As long as they're OT for Covet, we can just play um, consistency lost souls or whatever kind of lost souls we want. And we don't want stuff like humble or distressed. And um, we kind of want to look at more of if drawn or if, I guess, if put in play as well, because we're exchanging. Um, we just don't want to give them distressed and humble, stuff like that, that can be used against us.
I gotcha. Okay, I think we should try the Assyrian route. It seems like we have enough critical mass of cards there that it could work. So I'm gonna cut some of these Sabbath breakers that aren't in our colors. But let's see. So as far as exchange, we'd have Assyrian forces and high places. That would be it, right?
Yes, Assyrian forces in high places, which is fine. I made the whole defense around high places, so having two characters, um, I'm I'm good with that
Okay.
because we still have Assyrians have strong characters and they have really good enhancements to back them up, and we still have Sheol and Taberah. So we're still, if they play a dominant, we're shuffling a lost soul. If they search, we're underdecking a lost soul. Um, so we're still good with just getting rid of souls in general.
Great. Okay, I'm gonna add one of those cards you suggested. Draw three, play the next enhancement. It was like Mask of something.
Yep, one of the masks. It might be worldliness, fear. There it is.
Yeah. Let's take a look at some of these pale green enhancements here. Evil. Are there any that stick up to your mind as things you think we should definitely include?
If I play pale green or gold on defense, I don't even. I don't. I play delivered. I don't care if I don't have an artifact in my deck. Like that's how much I love delivered. We used to joke about hashtag force delivered. It's a great star ability. Sure, it gives you 4 brigades for Matthew, um, letting me activate any single artifact I want from my deck is very good, and the fact that it has the star discard is amazing. So, um, delivered, confusion, DOU, and then after that, I tend to look at the Assyrian enhancements.
Maybe some flying
Um,
horses.
yeah, that one's real good. And you could go to special ability, like I go type contains evil
Yeah.
enhancement, brigade contains pale, and then special ability contains Assyrian. Um, Rabshakeh threats is a built-in plunderers on an enhancement. It is a phenomenon. It's one of my favorite evil enhancements in the game.
Negate and discard the last good. If used by Assyrian, prevent the next. Wow.
Yeah.
Seems good. Oh, negate and discard with a band?
Yep. And then our other one is a negate and discard a good card. That hits Glory of the Lord. That hits their 3 woes. That hits their Nazareth.
Dang.
So that is very
This is
good
strong.
if used
This
by
is
an
strong.
Assyrian. Oh yeah, it's a very good card. So they have some of the best enhancements I was saying to back them up. Like that's where people would just kind of forget about Assyrians, but those two. I mean, how many evil enhancements are you seeing in decks anyway? 4 or
Not
5
that
and a couple
many.
in
Yeah.
reserve. Yeah,
Yeah.
and they have 2 of the stronger ones. They just don't
That's
have
all we
that in the
need.
battle.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. I think we're good on evil enhancements for now. Maybe you can look at some more Assyrians, evil characters. Uh, identifier contains Syrian. What do you think about like the Tartan and the Rab-saris and where is this other buddy?
I love
They're
the
kind of
Tartan. Yeah, I love that whole 3 in general.
yeah. So it goes to Tartan, the Rab-saris, and what was King Sennacherib the third one in that? Yeah, it looks like it.
And the Tartan bands 2 Assyrian forces.
Wow.
So we can end the band with Assyrian forces.
Okay. Um, Mounted forces could be interesting. Take
I
stuff from
really
reserve.
like Mountain Force is really good. I really like Assyrian Ambassador. I know that's like a I think it'd be called a Timmy card, but I can just block with him and it forces my opponent to discard a card in their territory. I like it from an early standpoint. Like I kind of like this in the main deck because I can just block and you have to discard one of the only cards in your territory. Probably won't make the cut, but when people are complaining about Glory of the Lord and Nazareth and all these cards that are coming out turn one, that's just another piece that I can just block with and they have to discard. Probably should have gotten cannot be interrupted on that, but that's okay.
This guy just takes out fortresses, cannot be interrupted. So maybe he just does what that guy's trying to do, but better.
Yeah.
Oh wait, you can
Let's
discard
see.
an artifact pile from instead. Okay, never.
We have another king. Remember, we do want kings. Um, People see board advantage and they usually don't know how to define it, so they just kind of don't play cards that say advantage unless it's just hand advantage, is from what I've seen. But
Yeah,
people love outsiders, so it's essentially board advantage. So you get to discard X of their cards from their territory, but it's based on their evil brigades. So yeah, we probably don't play King of Nineveh just because we're seeing a lot of mono evil right now.
we already have the Rabshakeh. I guess my filtering somehow missed the Rabshakeh. Okay. Ba-ba-ba. You were saying about the kings? Was I missing a king that you were thinking of?
No, we don't need a ton. It's just a matter of um, how many do we want in here? I don't know what the magic number is for high places. Probably 3 with Amalekite slave at at least 3.
Okay, I'm reading some of these cards here because I don't think I've ever really sat down and read them before. This guy's good for having a weapon. I'm gonna put maybe the foreign horses in reserve so I can equip to this guy.
Yeah, we definitely want a couple weapons.
Okay. Can you think of any pale green weapons? I'm not really thinking of anything besides those
Oh yeah,
horses.
Israel's Deliverance came out with 2 good ones. Roots came out with the other chariots. So you have Egyptian chariots. So we have a negate good enhancement, draw 2 as a weapon. We have Egyptian spear. You may discard this card to discard a hero, which is really nice when I can just equip something.
Ooh.
You already have foreign horses. There is hired sword. Um, that's a little niche. Probably don't need that when we just have a blatant negate draw 2.
Dang, look at this Egyptian spear in the starter deck. It's not not
Yeah.
as good as the one that finally made print negate. Okay, yeah, yeah. So I have a question about these. Can I use this card in the tournament? Like the
You can
as it's
use
printed?
you can use that card with the purple border, but when you play it, it's going to play as you may discard this card to discard a hero.
Uh
We put the errata on it.
okay, so it's been errated. I gotcha.
Yep. They all play as the quote unquote second print.
Okay, realistically speaking, do you think we'll have enough wilderness to make Israel's rebellion as a block worth?
No.
Yeah. So it sounds like we're going more in on just like the synergy of the Assyrians and less in on the trying to do everything we can to exchange and shuffle. But I think maybe that's for the
Yeah, if we have
best.
a good defense that exchanges. So we could go you could go all in on the exchanging and shuffling, but uh I think it requires a different brigade color. I think you have to have Israel's Rebellion as a dominant
Hmm.
to use, and that means you have to play something wilderness, at least
Yeah,
a couple.
gray or brown.
Yeah, and we can play a Sabbath Breaker in pale green, but I would
Yeah,
never play. I would have at least 2 evil characters for Israel's Rebellion to play it on,
yeah,
and we just don't have it. So the other thing would be, if you play gray, then that's easy. You can play 2, 3 Sabbath Breakers, or more. You could play 3 or 4 Sabbath Breakers with a couple Emperors and Terrifying Beast and Entrapping Pharisees. Like, you got an easy gray defense right there. Um, but then we miss out on DOU, but we
yeah.
get Israel's Rebellion. So it's a matter of we
Everything's a
could
trade-off.
split. Yep, it is. And then we could, huh, split. We could split defenses. I'm not a fan of that. Um, you could splash, but then we miss out on the exchanging, and then it just becomes a chump defense.
Thanks for helping me think about all these different directions we could take the deck in. Feels like we've got enough evil characters. We have enough enhancements. Maybe we have too many evil enhancements. Let's start thinking about some artifacts or heroes we want to start pairing with this.
Let's see. So you already pulled out Jonah, and I know green and pale green pail decently well together.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of what do we feel like are we too slow of a deck, or are we okay with we have a little bit of speed here and there, and we have some searching. Um, our speed isn't crazy, so I don't know if we want to play a faster offense, but if we play a faster offense, we're gonna draw more lost souls.
Yeah. That's going to go against our plan of trying to hide and shuffle away and exchange.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe if we thought about it as like a spectrum of slow, medium, and fast, maybe the medium speed would be where we want to be at. Not super fast, but also not super slow.
And I'm good with that. Um, there's a lot we can do there. And so let's see what we have now. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 evil characters. We might not need all of them. We might be able to drop one. We know one or two of those evil enhancements. Like we know the weapons are going in reserve. Um, maybe even confusion in the reserve. So we know already. Just because when we know we have good ways to a weapon that can auto equip, like the auto equip's really, really good.
Yeah, super
Um,
solid.
so we really care about Assyrian forces, getting Assyrian forces when we want. We don't need it early because we want to make sure we can exchange.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know, maybe we do want it early if it's early on, like exchange to DOU, and that's tough.
Maybe we
Um,
could play star abilities that help get cards lost souls out of the opponent's deck. That's just a thought.
yep, we could do that. I mean, that's always good in general. So if we stick to the kind of like a medium speed offense, ooh, that's a lot. It's almost, I kind of like, I know it's not normal. I kind of like how, and I brought this up in a Discord today, how clay and green kind of pair together.
Ooh, clay. I want to try. I want to branch out and do clay. That'd be fun. Can we just take that idea and run with it?
Sure.
So, in what ways were you feeling like pale green and clay could work together?
Well, so my mind, how it went was I like pale green with their dual alignment enhancements. So when I have access to dual alignment enhancements, especially ones that are just solid, I want to use them. And for pale green, it either means blue. So if we go to type is DAE, and then you go to brigade is pale, and when you see that, it should get to like 16. And we kind of go through there and see what we have. And what I notice is Siegeworks and Razor and Delivered and Capture and Seize and God's Mercy and Abandoned. I noticed a lot of just solid cards. Like I get a negate that works for my offense and my defense in battle. I get a territory class negate that cannot be negated if used by Jonah. I get a capture an opposing character and take an artifact that works for my entire offense. We have delivered. And then I look at Razor, discard an evil card, an opposing character or an artifact, CVP, and then an underdeck of fortress and all opposing characters. So when I look at these DAEs, makes me want to play green.
Right. There's a lot of good ones. Just like
Yeah,
really good value.
it is. And when you open up, when you get you draw 8 and you open up that hand and you have 2 dual alignments, you're set. You can put pressure on the opponent from an attacking standpoint, and you can have additional resources and blocking. We might not need the clay, and we might just run green. And I think that's actually pretty cool. Just green, green, pale green and green. We would just have to make sure there's enough speed in there, like you said.
Okay, maybe we can try the clay some other time, but I like these dual alignment cards. It seems like pretty free.
Yep. And with the clay, what went through my mind there was I really like Faith of Samuel. That's just a solid card in general. And then when I just knew kind of from the back of my mind that there's just some clay green synergy with some enhancements It just depends on if they all work or not.
Oh, I thought you meant clay pale green, but you're just saying clay
Oh,
and green
clay.
on
Oh,
the
I mean like a
offense.
split offense, clay and
Oh,
green.
oh, I get you.
Um, if you want to go clay and pale green, you can. Um, there's just so many clay builds out there. It just pick what you want, to be honest. I mean, do you want to go like I call it Tomb Raider? You have disciples. You can kind of fit in the Bethany trio. It's just
Tomb Raider.
yeah, that's the deck that I was big on last year. It's just whatever clay's kind of whatever you want because it's empty tomb is clay, disciples are clay, Bethany's clay. You just have Mary Holy Virgin is gospel unity and she's clay. You just have a
Mm.
lot of clay. So we can do that. I personally know some people were asking about green, and we're just not really seeing green right now because it's considered just weak. Um, so that's why I was like, maybe we could play clay green, but
Yeah, I really don't know where to go from here. Maybe you could just take the take the wheel and help us guide us in the right direction right now. Not the right direction, but just a direction.
so with green, they they play a little bit of attrition right now. Um, you still have numerous as the stars and star abilities. You do have Watchmen and Ezekiel. You do have some characters that can get things going. You have Edo and Moses. So you have heroes that are just they either what's called making their own rescue. I feel like Chad kind of coined that term,
Yeah,
but that's when you can go in and snag an enhancement. Justin Martyr to Blood of the Lamb, Moses the Servant to any OT white
yeah,
or
yeah.
green. So we have a lot of heroes that are just strong in battle. We also have Zechariah, we have Jeremiah, we have a lot of banding. So there's just a lot in green to where their heroes are really good. However, um, people just don't like them because they're not flashy. So I haven't done a video on green yet, but people don't like them because I don't think they see that the flash. They don't have you don't have resurrection with green. You don't have right on with
Yep,
green. I
yep.
mean, you could. You just gotta like force it in there. But green has really strong heroes, and they also have first sacrifice, Elisha, and hidden treasures. And I'm telling you right now, if you attack with Jeremiah and hidden treasures up, you discard an evil enhancement from their deck, and you toss the next thing they play. Is that half of their evil enhancements? I mean, that's in one attack. If we can get hidden treasures early, and that's where our lost souls come into play, and you have, I would almost play Moses, friend of God, over Moses the servant because we want that consistency. But I would do virgin birth, Moses, friend of God, bearing our sin, and we get these star abilities. Um, plus Amos. Amos plays a lost soul from a deck as a star ability. So we really want to do like brigade. Brigade contains green, special ability contains star. And if you want to, you could filter out on the different brigade. Brigade does not contain pale, and we're just looking at green cards.
Oh, perfect. Yep. Okay, so there's Amos who has a star ability to play something from a deck. Ba, 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 ba. Ba, 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 ba. And Jeremiah's, there's the really strong Jeremiah. I got excited for a second because I thought we could use Jonah to shuffle in Lost Souls, but no, it has to
No,
be it has to be their territory, not our territory.
but if we look at what we can do to the opponent with just our, remember we have, what is it? Not, is it Sennacherib's Blessing? But one of our evil enhancements, Sennacherib Blasphemes, negate and discard a good card. Jonah, shuffle a card. We're able to just hit a card in a lot of decks right now. I'll say a lot of players, they're not, they're not definitely not complaining about Nazi, but there's a lot of talk about Honeypot and Nazi, and they're not playing cards that get rid of a good card, discard a good card, um, shuffle a card in their territory, and we have access to a lot of that.
Yep. Okay. So Faith of Samuel, I know you like this card, but none of our guys, well, a couple of them are Cloud of Witness, and they're all different books. So do I only just ban one hero with this card and draw
Well,
three?
it's yeah. So for this, it's interrupt the battle. Yeah, hero may band any number of human heroes, and then if they're all cloud, for me, I like to band in um, Noah, and then I shuffle my Faith of Samuel. And Noah is another one that just says pretty much get rid of a card.
You shuffle your Faith of Samuel.
Yeah, so you band in Jeremiah and Noah, you band in, whoever you want, and then poof, your band enhancement goes back into your deck.
Nice. Noah can also shuffle a lost soul that we exchanged, so he helps with our game plan.
You wouldn't be able to target a lost soul by game rule, I believe.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. Bummer. I'm getting excited for no reason over here.
Now we have Amos. He is a potential. I mean, if we even use him, I like just going big. I like going big green guys with Watchmen and Ezekiel and stuff like that. Like I want to get out my green dudes quick. But we could go bring in David and Amos, and if they have board advantage, it's a CBN shuffle based on X. It's just a lot of setup. So I like Malachi. Great numbers that just essentially takes a star card from discard pile.
Oh, take it if X is true or greater. I'm reading these cards for maybe the first time.
Yeah, so green sneaky. They do want to band. They play really well against Pot of Mana because they like to band through enhancements, but their heroes are strong. So if Pot of Mana's out there, they're okay. Some decks are reliant on banding or reliant on their characters having to work or putting their enhancements and their characters together. Prophets just kind of have all sorts of stuff. And then the other aspect is we have to have offering your son because we already have delivered, but we have offering your son.
I agree. Offering your
And
son.
first sacrifice, Emmaus Road, virgin birth.
Yep, these are great.
I like bearing our sin where the unity is completely fine for us. And on an opening hand, we can just reserve it and draw one. We could always get this card back out with Emmaus Road. And it's a battle extension.
Beautiful.
So
Let's try it.
they
Yeah,
just
yeah.
that one's good.
I never really understood this card, but maybe if I play it more, I could learn more about it.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot, and I think it's because we don't use heal much anymore.
Yeah.
I would love to have a theme that wants to heal itself and gain benefits when they heal. So if you do anything to my heroes, I heal them, and they in turn gain benefits. So maybe it's like Luke in real life was a physician. So maybe it's like because he wrote Luke and Acts. So maybe there's like stuff in Acts, and I could pull from Luke as well, and have like a theme with like as Luke being a physician, kind of pull from there to where you can heal and gain benefits. I think that'd be really cool. But
Ooh.
I've heard that before with bearing our sin that people just didn't know how to use it. As long as I push my hero in battle, if you harm it, I heal my prophet, and now my prophet's no longer dead. So I can heal my prophet, and I can now add any of my prophets because we're all playing green. I can add any single one of my heroes to battle.
2 bears seems just solid. Which Watchmen were
Absolutely.
you thinking about, the promo version or the roots version?
We want to, if we're playing Ezekiel, then it's good.
Which one? The roots one or the?
Oh yeah, I forgot there's two now. We, that's tough. So if we go Watchmen to Ezekiel, we get to draw 2. If we have an OT Angel out, we get to draw 4 on the roots Ezekiel.
May draw 2 or exchange this card. How would we draw 4 off the roots one?
Look at the other Watchmen, the promo.
Yeah.
If it's Ezekiel, you may reveal a hand or draw 2. So now look at Ezekiel roots.
Oh, right. You're saying the roots Ezekiel, not the roots Watchmen. Oh, okay.
Yep. So if we
that
have
could
an
give us a
OT
lot of
Angel,
speed, but we'd also need more angels.
It also means we have to set up and we lose unity on good.
Could we go more in on the shuffling stuff in opponent's territory? Maybe we can use something like 20 shekels and try to put stuff down and just be annoying like that.
Yeah. I always like hand look. 20 shekels is amazing. I always like hand looking.
And we have so many ways to get 20 shekels out. It's going to be amazing.
Yep. And we definitely want, do you have hidden treasures in here?
Ooh, not yet.
So hidden treasures is actually your focal point of the offense. And it's not good to have an artifact that's so easily negatable as a focal point. I mean that in the sense of between delivered and offering your son and Emmaus Road, because I could Emmaus Road. And sometimes you need to Emmaus Road in battle just to get to hidden treasures. So we get the hand look. That's always nice, especially when we have buy the number heroes and toss first heroes and initiative. But we really want to use hidden treasures once and just get the hand look and then discard an evil enhancement from their deck. And if their deck's protected, we still have an ongoing hand look every single turn. But we should be able to blow up all their hand protection with our defense.
You mentioned one more prophet, minor prophet. He was good for like underdecking or shuffling stuff in territory. I totally forgot his name.
We already had him in here. Amos, right?
Was it Amos?
Opponent has board
Yeah.
advantage, shuffle off decks.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe you're right. Okay, gotcha. But yeah, I like this. We got this shuffle, this shuffle, this shuffle. Everyone just shuffle. Yep. Let's continue with that. Also want to respect your time. How much longer did you want to commit to this? Because we can just pause it here and I could take what we've got here and just build it out to the rest. Or did we want to...
Let's go another 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, sounds great.
So if you just filter by type hero, brigade contains green. I feel like we missed some good stuff.
Okay.
And then as we just filter in, and I go by set, you just go alphabetically. Doesn't matter. I just want to make sure I match you.
All right, okay. I'm going to go set. So I'm starting with Abel, David, Enoch, Mighty Warrior.
Yeah.
Not a prophet, though.
He's not a prophet, but he's a really good green hero. So then I would have to see, like, if all our enhancements just don't work on him, then okay. If not, we just kind of leave him. So what I'll do is if there's a card where I'm like, I'm thinking about it, I just stick it in my tokens pile. Right. And then I just come back and look at it later. It's like when you're going through an exam and you're unsure about a question, you check it and then come back to it. Now in Prison Prophet, you went over very quickly, right after.
What the? Who's this guy?
Mm-hmm.
You may capture this hero to underdeck an artifact and add your green prophet.
Yeah, so you bring him in, underdeck their overtaken, and just move on with life.
Seems decent. Seems pretty free.
Yep.
We actually have a lot of Isaiah enhancements because of those Assyrian ones.
Yep,
and Bearing Our Sin and Virgin Birth. Those are both Isaiah. I like this card. I just don't feel like he's big enough numbers to make it work.
Well, you have Potter in the Clay that you can increase them based on your hand size. And I know that's kind of like gimmicky for people, but when I start my turn, I have 11 cards in my hand. Like I have 8, and then I draw 3. And let's say it's, turn 2 or 3, and I get an upkeep trigger or draw, and I play Potter in the Clay. I just increased Zechariah 10-10.
What?
Yeah, he's just a 10 increase 10-10, and then you have a 15-16 toss.
That does sound
not
fun.
bad.
If I'm running out of ideas, maybe I'll put that in there. We are playing the Green Moses, not this one.
Paul's good to band into battle.
Oh, Paul, yeah. Where's Paul? Saint Patrick, no.
Paul. Keep going. He's a promo. Keep going down.
Yeah. Here we are. There's another draw 2. I could help with speed. I'll put it in the maybe pile.
Yep.
Same with Watchman. Now for this deck, is Chariot of Fire ever a consideration, considering the strategy we're trying to go with?
So I like Chariot of Fire. I like when I have You Will Remain, Chariot of Fire, and Bearing Our Sin. That's 3 add to battles for me, plus Second Coming makes Chariot of Fire another add to battle, and that gives me 4 add to battles. I'm really big on add to battles, especially when my characters are good. So I like Elijah and Elisha. We really like Gabriel and Elisha in this build because if we can go turn 1 Elisha, we can top deck their evil dominance from their hand. We can pop an enhancement from their deck. And if we went to Delivered or Offering Your Son and we got Hidden Treasures, I went turn 1 Hidden Treasures into Elisha, discarded 2 enhancements from your deck, and top decked your evil dominance from your hand.
That seems pretty strong and splashy.
It's phenomenal. It's very good.
The only hesitation I have is like if we end up exchanging Lost Souls, just using Son of God Second Coming to rescue those is going to basically take him out of the picture.
Yes, so that's the other thing. If you're exchanging Lost Souls, you want to Son of God them, and then you lose Chariot of Fire, and that's fine. because that goes back to what are we trying to do, right? We're trying to make sure we're
Yeah.
maintaining the intent of our deck. So that's okay. We lose Chariot of Fire, but we get Son of God. I still like Elisha either way as a hero to attack with.
Elisha or Elijah?
Either, both of them.
Okay. Yeah, I put them in. There's not like a fortress that supports prophets explicitly, right?
Not yet.
Okay. This guy would be good. Let's see. Do we play? Maybe. I don't know. Thanks for sitting here and helping me look at this. This is exciting, and I feel like I'm
Oh
going to
yeah.
be working on this deck for a little bit.
Yeah, how I play green is I want to attack your deck. So I want to make sure that your deck protection's gone.
Mhm.
I think everyone's too reliant on fortresses right now, like just one key fort in their deck. And I'm talking Tabernacle, Herod's Temple, Nazareth. So if you look at a lot of the main decks in competitive play, they're all relying on a fortress. If you can negate and or discard that fortress, a lot of their stuff crumbles. Like they don't have the extra artifact slot.
Yeah.
They don't get the potential rescue, but definitely the potential block from Herod's Temple. Honeypot can only activate one artifact, which is massive. So if you can pop fortresses, you're good. People are also very reliant on their hand protection. They put down one hand protection and they think they're good. Either Bethlehem Stable or Storehouse is usually it. Once they put down that one card, they go about their time. We have plenty of ways to get rid of fortresses. I'm almost wondering if this is a shipwreck and three woes. Like you have shipwreck. Well, you always play three woes, so this is a shipwreck plus everything else we have. And we're just popping Glory of the Lord in their territory. We're popping their fortresses in territory.
Nothing's safe in their territory, basically.
Yeah, that's the point. Assyrians destroy everything and the prophets shuffle it all. And it's funny because pale green and green, no competitive player. Now competitive players are gonna look at everything. Your Jays, your Joshes, your Jadens, just these top players are gonna look at everything and dissect them. We see Jared doing it right now. And people ask like, is green anything? And the whole community, they're not playing green. So you have an advantage, and even and I'll quote you, I don't know what any of these cards do. If I'm sitting down against my opponent and they don't know what my cards do, now if you sit down against me and turn one you hit me with some clay card and I see Herod's, I can probably build your deck. At least the high majority of your deck, I could probably build it right
Yep.
then and there.
Yep.
That's not good from a competitive standpoint. And I know we see that in other card games at a competitive level.
Mhm.
But if you can take people off guard, Justin's doing very well. I didn't put Justin in there. Sorry, Justin. Justin's doing very well right now. And his deck is gold and green. And he's doing like the add to battle dominance and stuff like that for evil.
Yeah. When I'm playing against him, I always have no idea what's happening or what's about to happen next,
Yeah.
and that's terrifying.
Yeah. If you don't know how to accurately block or how to attack your opponent because you're afraid of what they have, and we're doing it on both fronts. So they just have to sit there all the time, and then we're exchanging souls and we're shuffling things away and we're getting rid of lost souls and we're hitting their hand, we're hitting their deck. It's people will look at this as pale green's kind of weak, green's kind of weak, and they don't see it overall as, oh, this can do a lot.
Yep. It attacks in
I
a
like,
couple different ways. I love how if they put stuff in their territory, we shuffle it. If they keep it in their hand, we also attack that too.
yep. Now we for sure want an OT curse. Now I always talk about this. The key point is you need to maximize every card in your deck. So for us, we will now immediately go backtrack. We probably aren't going to maximize high places. If a
Yeah.
Meek Law Soul is put in play, you may draw one for top or bottom. The
Yeah.
only way we could do that is, well, we could maximize this. We could play with the Lost Souls card and put Lost Soul tokens in their territory and draw. So we could
That
still
is true.
maximize that card. So even though we don't have to play Meek Souls, we can still utilize High Places drawing.
Mhm.
As for Sheol, we're good to go. Taberah. If opponent plays a dominant, you may shuffle a Lost Soul. If attacked and more than one hero is in battle, which is other than Honeypot, it's extremely common, you may activate an OT curse. Now, since it doesn't say from where, that means hand or artifact pile. So what we want to do is, and you already did it, type curse, or I'm sorry, your type is a curse, and then it's really just a matter of what curse do we want. We want something that con- just gets rid of their people, probably.
Yeah.
Like we want battle winners. For me, it's madness, but we also have go into captivity. That's pale green. That's a negate a good card, capture a character on the evil enhancement side, and then I could use that in my deck as just a good, like a very strong evil enhancement. And if they attack me, I can just flip it over, capture one, draw one, and then I can block them with
Yeah.
Rabshakeh, and I can underdeck a good card, and it's the hero in battle, you know?
I love that. If we put Storehouse in here, we could use that Madness Storehouse and just kind of have another angle to just grind out the game.
Yep.
Where is Go into Captivity? Am I missing it? What is happening?
Do you can do Brigade contains green.
Do I have an extra filter on? Oh, Brigade doesn't. Okay, I turned off.
Oh,
Okay,
you
here's
turned
the
off pale
pill.
green.
Yeah, here they are. Welcome back to Pharaoh's Curse. Oh wait, that only hits good cards in territory. I feel like we have enough effects that attack territory.
It's still a negate and discard a good card. So for this, I would put Pharaoh's Curse in the reserve because we're going to play Storehouse. And I
Yeah.
would love to snag a 6/0 negate and discard a good card, or underdeck this card to underdeck a good card in territory. We have Go into Captivity. We could play main deck. You have Assyrian Affliction. That's another one that I would probably put in reserve. Because remember, with Taberah, um, every time they attack with 2, we can activate. It's not going to happen a bunch, though. And then the last one I would do would be for quote unquote free, like costless cards, like Madness. Reserve this card to reserve a hero.
Yeah, I put that in the reserve.
And then we could always snag that from the reserve, throw it in our artifact pile, and just leave it
Perfect.
at that.
Yeah, and that's just another way. I feel like we're at the end of our time here, but thanks you for hopping on. I'll take this deck, I'll add some dominance to it, I'll trim it down, and I'll post the completed list at the end of the video and do some gameplay after that.
Yeah, get some Lost Souls in there, some Doms, and I think you're good. See if you're probably going to want Mayhem in this one, just because it's a little slow, but you have a good bit of star abilities. But yeah, that's something I would look into. But I think you're at a solid build, and that took, what, an hour?
Yeah, we're running about an hour right now.
Yeah, not bad at all.
Sweet. All right, stay tuned for the deck list. We'll see you at the gameplay video. All right, so I was able to spend some time by myself working on the deck, filling it out, adding Lost Souls and Dominance and stuff, and this is the final list that I ended up with as a rough draft. I then took this list and played some practice games with it just to get a feel for the deck, and I want to share my conclusions with you guys. So the strategy of exchanging 2 Lost Souls and then underdecking them, it never really came up. It was always too hard to set up, or by that point in the game, I was presented with better options to do. So for example, I never really wanted to block with the Assyrian Forces. This guy has really high numbers. He never got initiative. He was really easy to negate or prevent. A thing that did impress me was actually playing the Lost Souls card with high places. Every time a Lost Soul came out into play, I could create a token and I could draw a card. And so that would trigger off of basically my Lost Souls and opponent's Lost Souls. So this card was drawing me like 4 or 5 or 6 cards if I just had a Lost Soul token out. I didn't really use the exchange too because it didn't quite work out. Like I would play like maybe King Sargon or Nimrod, and they would get out high places and put it in play. By the time it's already in play, the king had already blocked. And so I wouldn't get the exchange trigger. And King Sargon would die, and I wouldn't get to block with him with high places. The best Assyrian in the deck is the Rabshakeh. Being able to equip an evil weapon from hand or take a pale green enhancement from reserve is pretty nice. I could see this card being really good if the opponent has a card like Storehouse out where their hand is protected. And so if you're using the Rab-saris banded to the Rabshakeh, you can underdeck their hero, cannot be negated. But aside from that, the defense did feel pretty weak. I feel like they're really good at getting those fortresses out, but aside from that, I wasn't really impressed. Cards like the Rabshakeh's Threat and the Blasphemy, good cards, but I don't know if they're enough to carry this defense here. Now, as far as on offense, the best card for me was Jonah. Being able to put the Assyrians out and then start shuffling 2 cards if they search is really powerful. And having Elijah plus Elisha is also really strong. But that's probably as best as it gets when it comes to the types of heroes when you get to play it on offense with prophets. Like, I don't really like any of the minor prophets. They all require different Persians or Babylonians in play. You can only play one defense. And so those minor prophets, I feel like if they don't have those different defenses out, they just don't seem that good. Jeremiah's solid, yeah. Daniel's solid. Just attacking with Daniel is pretty good. Turns out this card just by himself is also just pretty strong, even when he's not banded to a bunch of Daniel angels or heroes. I did add a cute little combo to the deck. So the idea is you play Vain Philosophy, underdeck opponent's good card, and use your storehouse to go grab an OT enhancement from reserve. So I would grab Out of Egypt and play it as a territory class, which would discard the bottom card of the opponent's deck. So I use Vain Philosophy, put their Son of God on the bottom of their deck, and then grab Out of Egypt and discard their Son of God from their deck. So it's a little cute. I don't know if that's competitive, but did you know this card's also a nativity card too? I checked it out. And yeah, this card does have the nativity identifier. So maybe if you're playing a nativity-based offense, maybe run a Vain Philosophy in your deck and put Out of Egypt in your reserve so you can try this trick for yourself and see if it's any good. Cards like Siegeworks and Razor, I mean, they're cool because they're green and pale green, but I was never really excited about having these cards in my hand. Like, would I put a green card that said underdeck a fortress and all opposing characters in my deck? No. I would, if this interrupted the battle and did it, you have me sold. But I feel like the flexibility you get from either being green or pale green isn't worth just having a card like this in your reserve, or it's just not super exciting. I mean, Razor Cannot Be Prevented is nice, but then you start comparing Razor to a card like Reprimand Repercussion. Not only does it negate a card, it can withdraw up to 2 opposing characters, and that works as white or gold. Yeah, a little bit better than Razor or Siege Towers, huh? Oh man, I'm comparing Gospel of Christ cards to non-Gospel of Christ cards. My bad. I think the biggest takeaways for me from a deck building perspective is maybe High Places is strong enough to put in a deck that doesn't play a bunch of Meek Lost Souls, but it also plays a lot of ways to get this Lost Soul out, because this Lost Soul plus High Places could be just strong enough by itself. Secondly, I think I'm going to try that Vain Philosophy trick in some of the nativity decks I've been playing around with to see if I can cheese some Son of Gods out of people's hands. And lastly, I'll say if you have a bunch of cards that are trying to attack the opponent's hand, like the First Sacrifice or 20 Shekels, playing a card like Satan's Seat is really going to help you get through their storehouse and Bethlehem stable type of effects that are protecting their hand. So if you're playing a deck that's attacking the opponent's hand, maybe try to build around Satan's Seat as a way to get around their protection and do what you need to do. So would I bring this deck to a tournament? No, it needs a lot of work. I definitely would want to investigate different types of strategies and different ways I could try to do the soul swapping and different types of offenses. But did I regret making it? Do I regret spending the time sitting with Tyler to talk and think about the deck? No, not at all. Just those few takeaways that I was getting is like, okay, pale green needs some work. Green prophets need some work. It's like these are takeaways that I'm taking with me into future lessons. I can add my Vain Philosophy trick and stuff like that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm not going to do any gameplay with the deck, but I hope you enjoyed watching.